Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Dr. Angel Storm. Thank you so much to the Minds Journal for having me. I'm here collaborating with them as one of their expert panelists to host a question and answer session. So I am so excited to get started with this. First of all, just a little bit about me. I'm a life coach. I'm the owner of Manifold Mind. I specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery. And I am super excited to be here with y'all today to discuss tactics of a narcissist, how to identify one, what to do when you recognize that you are in a discussion with, in a relationship, in a working situation with a narcissist. So thank you guys so much again for joining me today, and to the Minds Journal for giving me the opportunity to be with you guys today. So overall, what we're talking about here today is talking about the common tactics of a narcissist and how to actually spot one and what to do when you recognize you're in the situation. By the way, please ask your questions. I will answer them as the session continues on. So first of all, just a few very common tactics of narcissists. And again, there's many different types of narcissism. This is a scale; it's a sliding scale of the qualities of a narcissist interacting with other personality disorders. So we're going to just be speaking about this in general terms, and I want to caveat that just because a lot of people may be dealing with a more covert type of a narcissist, where some of these traits. Appear, but they appear in a different manner than if you're dealing with an overt narcissist. So, number one, um, probably the most common technique that a narcissist will use that most people are familiar with is called gaslighting. So this is essentially an attempt to rewrite history, rewrite your experiences, and make you start doubting the validity of your memory and the validity of the claims that you are making against the narcissist. So just for a real quick example, um, saying that that never happened, so that you doubt not only the event that happened, but also, I can't believe you would say that to me, something like that, where it starts to make you wonder if you actually have the right perception of the narcissist, if they really did do that, if you maybe you are just overreacting. Gaslighting is key in the narcissist manipulation tactics because it also starts getting you to doubt your own identity. Especially this can be used against you in ways that maybe you don't expect. So, for example, if you're quite a successful business person, or you just accomplished something with school, or you accomplished one of your goals, it would not be uncommon for the narcissist to kind of downplay that, like, oh, you think that's a big deal? You think that that's really important? Do you think that that's actually going to make an impact? Any one of these types of comments is a form of gaslighting that is specifically formulated to wear down your identity. Maybe I'm not that good at school. Maybe I'm not a great business owner. Maybe this isn't really a great accomplishment. And this devaluation process is another key tactic that the narcissist will use. So it not only wears down your what you believe, your perception, right? What you believe happened, the history of your lived experiences and your identity, but it can also wear away at your self worth. So, maybe I'm not really a great business owner. Maybe I should be more appreciative that this person is with me, that this person sees value in me, or that this person is with me because at least I'm not alone. Something like that, where these inner conversations really start to change the trajectory of what you should do in this situation. Maybe at the onset of this type of gaslighting, it would have been easier to leave or to remove yourself from this situation, the conversation, the relationship, whatever you may be having, whatever your specific situation is entailing. But now that you've been with this person for you've held this job for 5 years, 10 years, you've worked with this person for 15 years, you've been married for X amount of years. You start questioning the amount of time that you've put into the relationship and if it's actually worth it to leave or just try to make it work. So the wearing down of identity and devaluing your self-worth is also a common tactic, a common tactic of the narcissist. Another one is isolation. And I mean this in terms of physically isolating you from your friends and family. This is very common that a narcissist will either ask you to move or have you move away from your support system. And if you cannot move, or if you're already kind of in the same environment where the narcissist lives, then they will make sure that it's an emotional separation. Smear campaigns are very common with narcissists, and recruiting of flying monkeys. If you're not familiar with this term, this is essentially somebody who is willing to do the narcissist bidding. So, this is somebody who's going to defend the narcissist. This is somebody who's going to spy for the narcissist, ask you questions, pry around in your personal life to get information back to the narcissist. This could be done. Online as well, hidden covertly underneath an alias. This is also going to be somebody who potentially funds the narcissist's tactics. So whether this is a court battle of some sort, um, even campaigns against a certain person also can be funded through flying monkeys. And this is one of the main ways that a narcissist ensures that you're isolated. So the perception, the outside perception is that there's a lot of drama around you, around the situation. There's a lot of chatter about you in the atmosphere and things like that. And it makes you kind of an undesirable person to get into a relationship with, to get into a business partnership with. That type of stuff is very common for the narcissist to do. This further isolates you. It gives you less options. It makes you seem like the only option is to make peace with the narcissist, appease them in some way so that you can kind of move forward, move on with your life and get out of this what seems to be a never-ending tornado of accusations and insults against you. This can also be financially. Isolation can also happen and occur financially. So, especially if you are married, it's not uncommon for one person, usually the narcissist, to control the money and not let the other person, the other partner in the situation, have access to the finances or even know the extent of the finances. So I'm talking about not being able to access the accounts, unwillingness to even have conversations about finances, and definitely not letting you have unfettered access to the finances. Before I move on, I just want to point out the fact that when you're watching this video and listening to me, um, it's not going to be uncommon that you're like, well, they do that, but not that. I wonder if I'm dealing with a narcissist. And so, as soon as I'm done giving you some of these lists, I am going to go through how to actually tell if you are dealing with a narcissist or not, right? Because we can start, just as I was saying, the identity issue, the self-worth issue, can really affect not just how you see yourself with a narcissist, but how you see yourself in general. So, if they don't meet all 90 criteria, maybe I'm not dealing with a narcissist and it's me. That's a common question. It's a common thought that people have. So I just want to let you know, I'm going to kind of give you a way to identify if you're actually dealing with someone who's a narcissist or who has strong narcissistic traits in a moment. So isolation, just to recap that really quick, is a very common, and in fact, the narcissist can't maintain supplies through control without isolation. So isolation must be present in some way, shape, or form, either physically, emotionally, financially. This could be even spiritually. Driving a wedge between you and your spiritual support system, demanding that you move from your religious organization into another one, wanting to convert from one religion to another. All of these are very common as well. Um, as I said, identity wiping can also come through name calling, and degrading any type of thing that you do. It doesn't matter if it's a small thing like what you made for dinner, or if it's a large thing, like I said, an overall goal that you had set for yourself that you accomplished. Don't expect the narcissist to be excited or celebrate anything that you're doing, which further has to do with this identity wiping. Stonewalling is another is another common tactic of the narcissist, and this can come in various forms. This can mean absolutely no negotiating. So it's the narcissist way or it's no way. And one of the things that I've noticed a lot with my clients is that this type of mentality or expectation for um, choices that are being made, even not having to do with the narcissist, bleeds through. So, in other words, it's either A or B, it's black or white, it's left or right. There's no other options, right? Which, as we know, most choices exist on a scale. So, in other words, there's an infinite number of choices that could be available. But one of the things that happens when you are with a narcissist for a long time is that you adopt their way of thinking, and specifically the way of thinking that they had in mind for you to have in that moment. So they wanted to train you to think it's either what the narcissist wants, or I have a huge fight and I lose anyway, and I do what the narcissist wants. So no negotiations, this or that. That's a very common a way of narcissists to be able to exert control over their supply. Another one is to never discuss their motivations. And on my YouTube channel, I talk a lot about getting to the root of the issue and how to see past what is being presented to you. This is one of the ways that you can combat the this or that questionings that the narcissist will present to you. Like the choices are either A or B. There's no other letters for you to choose from. You're going to choose these ones and that's it. There's not a combination possibility. It's black or white with a narcissist. So they'll never discuss their motivations with you either. And this is another common way for you to tell that you are dealing with a narcissist. And what I mean by that is they'll if you ask them, why am I given this choice? Why is it only A or B? Why could we not do C, D, or E? The narcissist will never discuss the motivations with you. It'll always be because I said so, because I'm in charge, because I'm the boss, because I'm the dad, because I'm the mom, because I'm whatever the reason is. They even with somebody who's supposed to be your equal, they won't discuss their motivations. Another thing is talking over you, not hearing you, shutting you down, silent treatments, just not allowing another point of view to even be existent in the atmosphere. So that's another very common thing. Again, no compromising, no collaboration. It's the narcissist way or the highway, and that's it. Um, and among while they're doing this, it's also very common for them to be the victim, right? Well, you're the one who's making me have to give you these choices. I mean, I'd like to consider other things, but it's your fault. The idea that they are somehow the victim in this situation is very common. Actually, one of the videos that I have on my channel is called Victim and God, because this is how the narcissist views themselves. They will always view themselves as both the supreme ruler of this situation, the one who created it, the one who's the chess master. There's nobody smarter than them. And also the victim, well, I don't want to be in this situation, but it's all the other person's fault. And I bear no responsibility. And that's a very common thing. In fact, this is one of the ways that you can tell that you're dealing with a narcissist is when they are both, they can't do A, B, or C in this situation because of, person one, person two, and person three. It's always somebody else's fault, but also, of course, they have, full autonomy. Of course, they have the ability to make whatever decision they want. And you'll especially see that this is true when it's applicable to other areas of their life. So, in other words, they'll freely admit, let's say, in this, just for the sake of this example, in their job or in their career, they're able to make all of the choices. They're likely the boss. Narcissists, especially covert narcissists, tend to be very successful, and so they're in charge, right, which is amazing. And yet in this like other area, let's say it's their marriage, no, they can't make any changes. They can't have an adjustment done. It's not their fault. It's not, why would they have to be the one? So they're going to be both at the same time, God of the situation and the victim of the situation. Another thing that you should keep an eye out for is payback. Narcissists are extreme grudge holders, and they will, if you could have even slighted them without knowing it. It was that subtle, and you didn't even mean to do it on purpose. The narcissist is keeping track. They are an extreme scorekeeper, and they can often wait until the right moment to kind of give you the payback. So this is another thing to watch with, if you're observing a person and you're not really quite sure if they're a narcissist or not, watch for this. Can they hold on to grudges for an extended period of time and kind of wait for the exact moment to inflict the most damage on that person? And then one other thing that there's so many obvious behavioral issues with a narcissist, but just one more that I want to cover in this section is what I call word salads. So this is kind of talking all around and all about a topic without ever giving you an answer of any kind. So the narcissist is an excellent word salad creator. So well, they do love you, but there's these other problems with the relationship, and also your faults. Here they all are. And I'm committed to the relationship and I want to see it work, but I also don't see a way forward. They're just going to talk all about and all around, and at the end of the conversation, you're more confused than when you went into the conversation to get clarity about that topic. This is very common. This, again, it goes into gaslighting. It goes into wearing down your identity. It goes into trying to force you to think, okay, the easiest option for me in this situation is to just stop talking about it and just say, okay, whatever they want, and give up critical thinking, give up what you actually want. Let go of your boundaries and accountability that you had put in place with the narcissist. So all of these things are their goals of doing a word salad. One of the things that I get asked quite often is this intentional? Do they do this on purpose, or is this a mistake? Is this just kind of non-conscious and they're just doing it out of like a defense mechanism or whatever? And I have a lot of videos where I talk about how to tell the difference between a toxic person, somebody who's just not aware of who they are, somebody who lacks self-development, who isn't able to truly connect with their true identity, and somebody who's a narcissist, right? Because a narcissist is always doing this intentionally. They are intentionally trying to isolate you. They are intentionally trying to drive a wedge between you and the kids, or you and your job, or whatever the situation may be. And it is important. The number one thing that you can do, honestly, for yourself is, when you know that you are engaging with a narcissist, is to recognize that they are doing it intentionally, and to stop making excuses for them. If you continue to make excuses, well, they might not know. They might get better. This might happen. If we try B, A, C, D, that, it could give us a different outcome. It's thinking that there's something more that you could do in order to control the situation, in order to give you a different outcome. And the fact of the matter is that the narcissist is going to blame you regardless of if you say yes right now to them, or if you try to get them to agree to a different approach. at the end of the day, it's always going to be your fault. At the end of the day, they're always going to be the victim. And it's recognizing that there is simply not another choice that you could make that would control them or control the ultimate outcome of the situation. So now really quick, I just want to talk about things that you can do when you start to recognize that you are dealing with a narcissist. And obviously I always advocate for no contact if possible, because the longer you stay in a toxic situation, especially when you're you're already sick, there's already been damage done to you based off of that environment that you were already in. um, it's not just making you more sick. It's actually, you're actually becoming the toxin. And what I mean by that is that your own thoughts, whether the narcissist is around or not, have probably become toxic by the point that you're finally ready to leave or to make a different choice. And just being able to admit that can accelerate your healing. So number one, go no contact if at all possible. If you cannot go no contact, set up very strict boundaries for when you will deal with a narcissist, when you will speak with them, how you will speak with them, and the methods of which this conversation or conversations will happen. So recognizing that the way that things are going is not working. You're going to have to come up with a new way to interact with a narcissist that is different than any of the ways that you've tried before. And sometimes when I'm with my clients, I'll hear, yeah, but I've tried going no contact and the narcissist wouldn't let me. That is a That's almost always because you had a suggestion and not an actual boundary. It was a suggestion to you that they don't contact you. Did you actually block them? Um, there are some cases where narcissists do engage in cyber stalking or actual stalking, and one of the things to consider when you recognize that you are facing a narcissist is to come to um, the internal understanding, that no matter what you do, once you recognize that you're dealing with a narcissist, things are going to get worse before they get better. Almost 100% a narcissist will not just leave you alone because you have told them to leave you alone. So you need to emotionally prepare for things to get worse before they get better. And what I mean by that is getting a support system around you, opening up to people that you actually trust, finding a therapist or finding a life coach who specializes in narcissistic abuse recovery. Um, you need to have an actual plan. You need to have boundaries in place for yourself. Boundaries are always for yourself first. So how long, if you it will be normal for you to be trauma bonded and for you to want to reach out to the narcissist after you decide to go no contact, or after you decide to have these very stringent um, communication guidelines put in place for yourself. When you feel the urge to break your own commitment to yourself, what are you going to do? How are you going to overcome those urges? Because, and without getting into trauma bonding, this is a very real, physical, biological, chemical connection that needs to be broken. And just like you would not tell any type of other addict to just stop doing it, we often tell people who are in traumatic, toxic relationships to just stop talking to the person, right? Without understanding that there's actual brain damage, there's actual chemical imbalance happening with this person's body and with their brain, and they need help and support in order to bring that back into homeostasis for themselves. So get yourself a support system that will help you commit to yourself and put these boundaries in place for your no contacts. I always tell my clients that when you're going to go no contact, I ask that you would internally make the commitment to yourself to when you feel that urge, you acknowledge it, but you don't act on it. You acknowledge that it's there and you tell yourself, okay, if I in 24 hours, if I still feel like I want to contact the narcissist, I will I will contact my support system first, and then I will draft up a text or whatever it is that you want to send to the narcissist. I will have somebody else read it. You need to have these other steps put into place as opposed to just acting on the impulse and reconnecting. And that's done for a multitude of reasons. But number one is that the trauma bond actually grows stronger every time you go back. So you're not just coming out at the same place, you're actually making it worse. Um, um, so those are some things that you can do. For yourself, I would also highly suggest that you are able to get away, get alone by yourself, reconnect with yourself, really connect back with your identity. Remember who you were before you got into this relationship or you started hanging around this certain type of person or group of people or whatever it is. Take time to grieve the loss of what you thought this was going to be. A lot of people want you to just it's so bad, like, why are you sad about it? But actually skipping the step of grieving is skipping a step of healing. You need to feel things in order to heal things. Trauma can get trapped in your body. Trauma can get trapped in your brain. Obviously, we have trauma that can be trapped in our minds and our memories as well. And so without feeling and ignoring or pretending we don't feel those things, that's just going to make those emotions, those memories, and ultimately that trauma scream louder. This is why people often have physical pain in their body that we can actually trace back to some form of trauma, unforgiveness, or another emotional wound that was done to this person. Um, okay, so those are some ways that you can protect yourself against a narcissist. What I want to really quick cover is what to do with these situations, and specifically situations like the silent treatment, right? When I was just going over the list of common things that narcissists do, um, and you might still be wondering, how do I tell if I'm dealing with a narcissist? Which I'm going to get to in just a second. But when you're dealing with this, you need to look past the behavior into the motivation of why they're telling you something, of why they're doing something. And I say that to say it will be a lot easier for you to come to the um, understanding and the exception that they are, in fact, a narcissist if you can look at the motivation behind what they're doing. So for example, just really quick, a lot of narcissists, especially covert narcissists, are very altruistic. They are extremely giving. They volunteer, they give the biggest donations to all types of charity events. They always have a kind word for someone, they buy people lunch. Like, it is not uncommon that this happens. And you might be thinking, how could that person be a narcissist? But if you don't look at the motivation behind it, you're either going to be sucked into the flying monkeys or being a supply yourself, being a victim of the narcissistic abuse yourself. The reason that I say that is because this is the honey that they use to trap their victims. They want their perception, their facade that they show to the world to be the only thing that people see. So they don't really they don't want people to see their motivations, which is one of the things that I had mentioned before. When they do stonewalling, the reason that they're just trying to shut you down is so that you don't see what's actually behind the curtain, so to speak. So you want to look at the motivations. What is the real reason that they want to take the kids on a trip? Is it because they want to spend time with their kids, or is it because they want to have an event on that exact weekend, that you had an event on that weekend to take the kids to? Do they want to donate all of these to donate money to, or time or whatever, to charities because they actually believe in that cause? Or is it something where it will give them a lot of standing in the community? It will give them kind of an image that they will use later on. Will this be a platform that they run on? Will this be a way to promote themselves within some other organization or structure to get a position that they want? Is it a way to meet certain people and to get into a different social circle? All of these things need to be considered, because if you don't look at the motivations of why they're doing stuff, it's easy to just think to yourself, like, how could that person be a narcissist? I barbecued with them 3 weekends last week or last month. So without looking at the motivation, it can be very easy to kind of overlook these behaviors and just take them at face value. And with a narcissist, you cannot take it at face value because everything is masked. Everything is masked underneath something else. The real reason that they're doing that is to get ahead in some way. It is some way beneficial for them. Um, so when you're deciding, am I dealing with a narcissist? Am I just dealing with somebody who's emotionally immature? Am I just dealing with somebody who's a jerk and not self-aware? The number one thing that I think needs to be taught to people that is often overlooked is your own intuition. Okay. You were given instincts for a reason. You were created to know and judge your environment, regardless of what it is. And so when we try to overlook that and try to reason away or tell that part of us to just be quiet and accept that this person is awesome, look how many people like them. Look how many people are around them. I have friends who are friends with this person. Of course, they're going to be a safe person. When we shut down our own instincts, we give away our power to somebody else, and that person is the narcissist. The number one thing that I try to teach my clients in our sessions is to build trust in themselves. You can make healthy decisions. You do know what's right for you, for your family, for your future. You can trust the your ability to judge correctly. Just because it's been shut down for a period of time, or it's kind of gotten off track because of the amount of time or energy that you spent with a narcissist, doesn't mean that that can't come back. So I think, first of all, number one is learning to build trust in yourself again, learning to trust your instincts. These things are this is the most important part, because then you're going to be paying attention. Like, this person on paper looks amazing. It's awesome that they do A, B, and C for the community, or that I have, 10 friends who are mutual friends with this person. But if something is off, that should be enough for you to really pause about the situation and just give it a moment to be evaluated for your own self. Um, another thing that I want to just point out here is extreme people pleasing or codependency can be playing a factor, obviously, with a lot of people who end up with narcissists. Narcissists and codependents go together easily. So one of the things that I work with my clients on is teaching them about their own value and reminding them, basically, not really teaching as in bringing in new information, but just reminding them, helping them to remind them own selves, hey, I am valuable and I do have worth apart from what other people think about me. And another way that this comes about is to be present in the moment, really connect with this moment. What is it going to cost me if I take a few minutes, if I take a day, if I take a week, and I really think about this connection with this person that I'm making? It'll just cost me that amount of time, right? But But if you view it from the lens of an extreme people pleaser, you're going to think, what will my friends think about me? What will my boss think about me? Or whatever the situation is. You're worried about the opinions of other people when we're talking about your life. And so, really being able to connect with the moment and be present in the moment is going to help you kind of slow down the need to have immediate validation from outside sources, from other people, from certain organizations or companies or whatever it is. Um, and this is really important because when you can slow things down and learn to connect and listen to that instinct, that intuition that everybody was created with, then you're going to be able to have a better opportunity to be true to yourself, right? Know yourself, be committed to yourself. You can't expect somebody to be committed to you if you aren't committed to you. You will Everything is energy, everything is reciprocated. So whatever it is that you're putting out, you're going to get back. And one of the hard things that people have about hearing something like that is by thinking, yeah, but I've done all of these things. I've done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. That's great, but you did those for other people. You didn't do it for yourself. first, and you have to do it for yourself first. You are teaching other people how to treat you by the way you treat you. So it's more important that you do those things for yourself first before trying to give away what you don't have yourself. So let me just go over here really quick. Okay, one other thing that I want to talk about is exposing how to expose a narcissist. And this will really depend on the situation that you find yourself in when you're wanting to or needing to expose a narcissist for who they truly are. Most of my clients are in family court. So they're either getting divorced, they have children, they're in a custody battle, or they're fighting over maybe they're divorced already, the custody has been finalized, but they have a business or property or something like that together that they're arguing over. So most of my clients are dealing with court situations. And legally speaking, if you have an attorney who is on your side and you have taken excellent notes, I have a tracker of how to track for the purpose of exposing a narcissist lies on my website that you can check out yourself. It's a whole packet and training. But so in this situation, there's already set steps that you need to take in order to expose a narcissist. One of the things that's common, regardless of what format you're trying to expose a narcissist on, is that this is likely not going to be a one and done situation. In other words, okay, I caught the narcissist in a lie. I have all of the evidence that I need to show everybody that he's lying, or she said this but she actually did that. That's great, but it's likely not going to take just one time. And this is something that can be very exhausting for people who have been victims of narcissistic abuse. They all of a sudden reach their limit for how much they're going to take, and they're not going to take anymore. And so now they want everybody else who's around them to see what they now see. But think about it, how long it took you to see the narcissist for who they truly were. So this is one of the things that can be very frustrating too, is when victims come forward, they try to start exposing what this person has been doing or is doing to them, and they don't have support. They don't have the backing of all the people that they thought would be on their side. And this is because those same people are still under the blindfold, of who the narcissist is. They're not able to see the narcissist for who they truly are. And so that can be very frustrating and exhausting. So before you go into exposing a narcissist, you need to take an account of the surrounding. Again, if this is a legal proceeding, you need to do this in a legal manner. There are steps to do this. There's a way to do this, but you need to use the system that you're a part of in order to do this appropriately. Because what also happens is that when people try to expose a narcissist, it actually comes off as they're the bitter ones. They're the ones with the problem. They're the ones holding a grudge. All of the things that the narcissist are is projected onto the victim. And to avoid doing this, you have to take an account of the atmosphere, the actual system that you're going to be exposing the narcissist in front of. So again, if that's a legal system, if this is a group of friends, if this is a job, a corporate type setting, you need to know the atmosphere, the system that's in place in order to do this. You also need to be prepared that this may not be a one and done situation. This may take several times of constantly pointing out the same exact thing. And this has to do with the fact that lots of times other people can be trauma bonded. Sometimes people are just simply not caring. They're not attached to, they don't have the same emotional attachment to the situation that you do. They don't really care if this person is exposed, or that's not their fight, and they'd rather just get along, and not cause waves. You need to understand that people are in a different boat sometimes than the one you're sitting in. So there are ways to expose narcissists and what they're doing, but you need to analyze your own dedication. Are you actually able to take this on? Because again, once a narcissist recognizes that you know that they're a narcissist, whether you plan to expose them or not, they don't like that people will know. And so things will often get worse in terms of the narcissistic tactics that I had listed earlier. More flying monkeys, more smear campaigns, more uh love bombing, if that's the appropriate method to go about in the situation. They're going to up their tactics. They're going to, if they were at an 8 before, they're moving this thing to a 10. They are making sure that they are not losing what they view as theirs. I've talked about this before on my YouTube channel, which is that narcissists view people as commodities, not as sovereign entities. And so if you think because you said no, then, or you said I'm done and no contact or whatever with the narcissist, that those boundaries are just going to be automatically respected, you're thinking about it from your perspective and not from the narcissist perspective. The narcissist views you as property. You're theirs. And to them, the property is trying to leave and it's trying to revolt, you know? So the narcissist is going to do whatever they can do to bring back what they view as theirs. And I simply mention this so that you understand. Um, if you don't view it from the narcissist perspective, a lot of times this is why you keep getting blindsided or feel like you are losing to a narcissist. It's because you're looking at it from your perspective, assuming everybody else will have that perspective, and that the narcissist perspective has no influence whatsoever in the situation. And that's just simply not the case. No matter how much of a case you have against the narcissist, the way you present it matters the most. You could have a great case, but if you cannot present it in a way that people can comprehend it, understand it, see your point of view, see the facts, and get rid of their doubts about what you're saying, then it doesn't really matter how great of a case you have. And that's ultimately what I want you to know, is that when you try to expose a narcissist, you have to take account of all of these things before making a plan and moving forward. And again, the plan should be really thought through and come up with an expert uh, in that atmosphere. So, in other words, I would highly encourage you to not just barge into your work one day and try to expose your boss as a narcissist. There's steps in place to use HR, to use other systems in order to have the desired outcome that you're looking for. And it's best to go this way when you're dealing with a narcissist, because again, you're probably not the first person who's tried this, and narcissists learn. This is their craft. They get better every time somebody tries to come against them, somebody tries to leave them, somebody tries to expose them. They've learned from these things. They've gotten better at them, and they already have a counterattack for whatever it is that you're trying to do with your exposure of them. So having these things thought through and having a team of people, support system around you, is really going to be necessary when it comes to exposing um, a narcissist. So with all of that being said, let me just see if I have any. Okay, I see. Sorry, I've been missing your comments, so let me just go through here and see if there's any questions that I need to be answering before we end the session. I want to make sure that I have gotten all of your comments and concerns addressed. Yes, I definitely agree with the comment on we need to teach understanding and compassion and empathy. And that's another thing. Narcissists will lack a true empathy. They will often be able to play empathy. So, in other words, again, coming back to the motivation behind it. Um, I have a video that I just did recently on taking a narcissist to therapy. And again, you have to be extremely aware of what you're doing. If you just choose a random family therapist or a random, marriage counselor or whatever, somebody who doesn't understand narcissism, number one, you're likely setting yourself up for further abuse of this system. In other words, they tend to agree with the narcissist and try to get you to do more, right? Well, why don't you just let him do blah, blah, blah? Or why don't you just take her to blah, blah, blah? And so oftentimes the narcissist will recruit, essentially, without even knowing, manipulate the therapist in the situation. But also there's typically no accountability. And so the narcissist can be saying, yeah, but I'm trying, I'm doing all of these things, but they're not actually doing those things, right? Even the motion of going to therapy is a manipulation tactic that they'll use. So being aware again of the motivations behind what they're doing. Are they actually looking for real connection, or are they actually looking for real connection, or are they just trying to further their position and further wear down your identity, your resolve to leave them, expose them, whatever the case may be? Um, yeah, they don't want therapy. Right, exactly. They don't want therapy, but they can use the situation, they can use the therapy um, sessions in order to further their situation and their goals. And that's something that I think we really need to be aware of. Um, Wow, James, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter. Um, and trauma bonds are real. Please go check out my videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about breaking trauma bonds. This is something that is not, you just decide to do it. Well, that's great. That's the first step. It's a decision, it's a constant decision, sometimes multiple times a day, sometimes multiple times a minute. You have to continuously commit and decide to break that trauma bond, to go no contact, to hold your boundaries, to start establishing a new life. Um, Yes. Is there any unusual thing narcissists do when they can't control you? How would I recognize that? Yes. Like I said, when you are breaking away from a narcissist, whether that's just simply because you know now that they're a narcissist, whether it's because you plan to expose them in some way, shape, or form, whether it's so it doesn't matter if it's like a little bit or a lot of it. In the narcissist mind, it doesn't matter, because if they can't control you because you have the truth, you know the truth, whether you're going to share that with others or not, it's still an affront to who they are. It's an affront to the way that they perceive themselves, their perceived identity. And so you can absolutely expect the narcissistic tactics to increase. And what I mean by this is that you should expect that there's going to be more flying monkeys around, people who are seemingly more on the side of the narcissist. How could you leave so and so? They just always seem like such a kind, caring person. Or, how could you leave that job? I love working for, whoever, and he's always so nice, or she's always so generous. And they're always going to have a story that combats your reality. This is gaslighting. And a narcissist will use flying monkeys to do more gaslighting, to get you thinking like all of these people are seeing the same thing and I'm seeing something else. There must be something wrong with me. So expecting things to increase in terms of the narcissist tactics is important, and also having a plan then in place for what to do with this. Who am I telling when I hear these types of comments? What am I doing with these comments? How am I handling these things? How am I processing the immediate stuff that is coming against me while simultaneously healing from whatever trauma, whatever kind of abuse I've been in? And again, this will vary because it depends on if you were living with a narcissist because you were married, or because you have kids together, or if you were just working with a narcissist, or if you, whatever it is, you start a business, you invested, whatever, with a narcissist is going to depend on what your next steps are going to be. But you definitely will need a plan in place on how am I going to heal from the past? How am I going to deal with ongoing issues from breaking away from the narcissist? And how am I going to make sure that I stick to this plan? Accountability, getting help from people who actually are qualified to help you. I love when people are able to get a support system of like their friends and families around them. That's amazing. That's the most important. But you really do need an expert, somebody who knows about what it is like to go through narcissistic abuse, somebody who handles this type of trauma specifically. There's a lot of different reasons for this, but one of the biggest reasons is that people will continue to repeat the same patterns. They'll get away from that specific narcissist, but they will date the same spirit in a different body because they never got healed from the actual trauma that spirit had caused them. Or they'll go to another job. They'll work for the same boss, just in a different body. And so it's important that the past is actually healed and not just masked up, not just like, oh, move on from it. And the theory that time heals all things is not true. It's what you do with the time that will heal. Um, okay. Is a narcissist always right? Yeah, narcissist is always right in their own mind. They're never wrong. They won't take responsibility. And that is something um that is true of narcissists, even when they say, so going back to the word salad kind of thing that I was talking about, where they will say, you're right. You know what? I did do that. But you know what? It was actually what caused me to do that. The reason why I did that is because this, and this happened, or so and so, or you did A, B, and C. And that's why I did that. So it sounds kind of like, oh, they're taking responsibility, but actually they're blaming everybody else for why they did those things. So the narcissist is always going to be right in their minds. One thing that you should know about a narcissist is knowing your narcissist, what the one that you're dealing with, because again, covert narcissists are very good at playing the part. So in other words, they're saying the right thing, they're going to therapy, they're actively involved in seeking outside help, whatever that means. My pastor's involved, or my whatever, my brother, my mom, my dad, somebody's involved, other people are involved, and it looks like they're doing the right thing. But the narcissist has already decided they're not going to be at fault here. What they're actually going to do is get more people to validate their standing. So in their mind, the narcissist is always right. They're always going to be doing the right thing. They're saying the right thing. Look, they did the right things. They went to therapy. They got expert opinions. They had outside advice, outside counseling. And to them, these things just validate the fact that they are right. So it just it's a reinforcing cycle. The thing that we think we're inserting into the cycle to break that cycle is often the thing that reinforces it. That's why I'm hesitant for people to go to therapy with a narcissist unless the person is a trained professional in spotting narcissists and holding them accountable, having actual accountability put in place before the therapy begins. Is it possible to be both? I mean, I grew up with a narcissistic mother and two of my husbands, and I can recognize myself. Okay, that goes back to yes, this is common in terms of behavioral traits. So all humans, regardless of their upbringing, learn. We all learn. So if we were raised by narcissists, we've picked up on things that were in our environment, whether with again, without any outside judgment. So we're not judging these things as right or wrong. We're just simply learning, right? For example, this is no different than whether you slice your sandwich diagonally or you slice it in the middle. That's just something that you've learned, and it can be automatic, right? Like, no, this is just the way that you cut a sandwich. This is just the way that you talk to people. This is just the way that you resolve conflicts. Yelling is just a normal part of my day-to-day life. So our atmospheres do produce, we can be the product of that, right? Another thing is that as we grow up, we observe deeper, so we can see, okay, I see what they just did there, and that worked for them. They got the outcome they desired. And especially when you're living with a narcissist, you can see, oh, okay, if I throw a fit, then they stop talking, and then I stop talking. I wonder if I throw a fit, if they'll stop talking. So we can start to learn that, okay, these tactics that they are using might be beneficial for me. The other thing is that people will get to a point where they're so fed up with this situation that they're in that they'll just do anything without thinking about actually their end goal, right? They're just fed up. They're just acting out of instinct. It's a non-conscious behavioral decision. And so yes, some of it is learned, and some of it is because trauma is actually manifesting itself in behavior. So again, this is why actually learning how to undo the trauma that has been, it's like a cup that is filled up with whatever you put in it. You can use that cup to drink water out of, or you could use that cup to fill up with poison. The cup doesn't get to choose. The cup is just getting filled up. You're the cup in this situation. You have the opportunity, but you do get the option to choose. Once you recognize, hey, this is nothing but poison. It's actually becoming toxic to me. I'm actually becoming the toxicity that I want to stop. It's undoing the things that we've learned, that we were saturated in because of our atmosphere, and also the way that we've decided to allow instinctually to come out of us without doing the proper work to heal from the past in the moment. So things from the past, without them being healed, come into our present moments, which means that they are carried into our future. This does not have to be the case, but you have to be conscious to undo these things. It's not just going to go away with time. And I hope that that makes sense. Um, why are they okay? Is it possible to be both? Yes. So I hope I just answered that question. You can have the traits. You Let me say it like this. It's like the tug of war between who you know you want to be, but who you are based off of all of the things that I just mentioned. Your past atmosphere that you grew up in, the way that you've learned, the things that you've witnessed that you have learned from, your the way that your instincts have worked for you in the past, and who you want to become. No, I don't want to constantly be yelling or manipulating people to get the desired outcome that I want them to choose, but I don't know what to do, right? I'm in the tug of war between these two things. Yes, it's possible. And just by the way, no, that is not because clinically speaking, narcissistic personality disorder is, of course, a diagnosis that you can give to somebody who has an actual personality disorder. You can be, what we're talking about here is narcissistic traits, which we all have. Everybody here has, everybody on earth. We all have narcissistic traits. It's learning about, it's being aware that number one, we have them. And number two, getting to the heart of the matter. What is the motivation behind it? If you go to my Instagram page, I have a really quick training. It's like 3 minutes, which teaches you to know your, I think it's called Know Thyself. And it's a very quick training to kind of teach you that you can start using every time that you're trying to make a decision or you're thinking about acting a certain way, getting to the root of why you want to do that thing. Why it's choosing, why your initial first thought or your pattern of behavior is to go with that method of expressing yourself or making a choice for that, towards that person, towards that end goal, whatever it is. And it will help you get to the bottom of that, because really understanding yourself, your motivations, is going to be the thing that that will ultimately allow you to change. Behaviors follow beliefs. If you can get to the root of the behavior, if you can get to the root of the belief, you can change your behavior easily. Lots of people approach it the other way, like, okay, I'll stop doing that. So for example, I'll stop talking to the narcissist. Yes, stop talking to the narcissist, go no contact, but we have to get to the root of the belief first. Why do you feel like you need to be associated with this narcissist? What is going to change it? What do you think is going to be missing from your life if you stop talking to them? Things like that, where you have to get to the root of the belief. When I eliminate the false belief and I replace it with truth, it's a lot easier for behavior to not only follow, but to become a characteristic in your patterns of behavior. Meaning, this isn't just a one-time choice. You're actually making a new pattern for yourself. I hope that do they always get angry if we acknowledge what they are doing? So it will depend on the type of narcissist that you're dealing with. Overt narcissists, definitely, for sure. Covert narcissists, okay, and the way anger is expressed is different in people. And that's what I was talking about earlier with the payback situation. Narcissists will always seek to get even, and they'll be the ones who decide what even is. You could have, not gotten something dry cleaned, right? And it's like, okay, well, who cares? You have 90 other things that you could choose from to wear. But to the narcissist, it was like an on purpose thing that you did to try to sabotage their meeting or their day or whatever. And they will make sure that that thing is extracted in judgment, and they decide how that justice will be doled out. So, So anger is expressed differently. So this doesn't mean that they'll be angry and start yelling. Again, an overt narcissist would be much more prone to doing that. A covert narcissist will be angry inside, but never let you know it until they're ready to exact their revenge in the situation. So they will harbor these feelings of resentment for years. Absolutely. So will they get angry? Um, yes, but I would how that anger is expressed, I would qualify based off of what type of narcissist you're dealing with. Also, if you're already in some sort of legal proceeding, they probably will make sure that they're um the way that they exhibit that anger externally is a lot more targeted, right? They're not calculated. They're very calculated in the way that they express themselves, and everything is meant to give them a desired outcome. So they never just do things randomly. They've already decided, I'm going to do this so that this happens. Um, do narcissists change? Yes, they do change. Probably not in the way you are asking. You're probably asking, do they stop being a narcissist? Um, and if that is the case, then no. There's been no clinical um, evidence ever of anybody being able to change. We do have some, I think there's 3 documented cases of people who are diagnosed with NPD who are able to manage their symptoms but never stop being a narcissist. Do they change? Yes, they do. They learn. And that's exactly what I was trying to say with the therapy thing. You might want to think twice before suggesting we go do all of these types of things that you think will make the relationship improve, because what they're going to do is learn from that situation. They're learning. They're constantly learning. They're improving their craft. So they continue to increase in the amount of narcissism that they exhibit. So so for example, really quickly, if there's an alcoholic, we know that whatever they're drinking today, let's say they drink, I don't know, a bottle of alcohol a day. Tomorrow or a month from now, a year from now, we are not going to expect them to have the same amount, right? Addicts don't need the same amount. They need more and more and more and more. And that's how it will be with a narcissist. The level of abuse you're experiencing today will be the least level of abuse you ever experience in that relationship, ever. That's just the nature of the way that it goes. They will constantly need more and more. So do they change? Yes. Do they stop being narcissists? No. Um, Yes. So the comment from Randy about you didn't make dinner in time before she got home. Yeah, that the control issues are extreme with narcissists. Like, they must be in control of every single aspect of life. And this is different than somebody who has an anxious attachment style, or someone who has OCD, or some other type of anxiety driven um, um, behavioral issue, where this person is not just trying to control those types of people with anxious attachments. They want to control the situation. Narcissists want to control people. So they didn't just there so this person was not just angry at you that you didn't make dinner in time. They're not mad about the dinner not being on time, which would be the issue for somebody with an anxious attachment style, or somebody with an anxiety disorder, anxiety based disorder. But it's not the timing of the dinner. It's the fact that you didn't do what she wanted you to do. So the issue is always with a person and controlling a person's behavior, or a group of people, and controlling the group of people's behavior. So that's the difference there. So I think that is all the questions and comments that I have from y'all today. You guys, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much to the Minds Journal for letting me come on, for inviting me onto your platform. I so appreciate it. You guys can find me if you want to follow my YouTube channel. There's all of the places that you can find me right there. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a group coaching. If you're interested in joining, I have a podcast, I have my YouTube channel. So I'm all over the place. You can find me and all of my resources on my website. You guys, thank you so much again for having me, for being with me, for your engagement. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a great rest of your week.